I remember New Year's 1990 being a very exciting event for me. Being a boy who would grow up through not just the turn of the century, but a millennium, the concept of the year 2000 was very futuristic. Even the decade of the 90s seemed like we were entering into a new era of flying cars and time travel. Thanks mostly to, of course, Back to the Future franchise being very heavy in the culture at the time for me. Little did I know, the launch of the decade also entered a new season of life that I was not expecting. Not too long after the new year, my brother had a severe injury to his arm, causing him to be hospitalized. He, at the time, was at a school that wasn't local to us, so we had to travel with the family to make sure that he was okay and to take care of him for a short while. My father, being a pastor, would of course have to return for the next Sunday sermon. So the trip had to be brief. Now, upon our return, a letter from the church was in our mailbox. It stated that the deacons of the church had held a secret meeting and in the name of the church had unanimously voted my father out of the role of pastor, and we had 2 weeks to pack up and get out of the parsonage. True story. I was in my early teens at the time, so I did not recall too many of the details. But I do recall my family's best friends taking an unexpected trip to Jamaica when that news dropped. And for a solid week, my mother never got out of bed. It should be pointed out that our best friends were part of the deacons. Ultimately, this sneak attack would have torn the church apart, and with most of the members siding with my father, we could have weathered the storm. But for us, it was more than just an attack on a job. It was our best friends stabbing us in the back. So we chose to leave and instead start a new life in a different direction. And life really did change for us after that encounter, and particularly me as a child. My family became much more cautious when encountering other individuals or other families, and none of us were really ever the same after this. We lost our closest friends, we lost our church, our livelihood, and I personally was awakened into the ugly side of Christianity. Even though this happened over 30 years ago, these scars can raise to the surface and become fresh again. Hey guys, and welcome to Godly Guy Stuff, a group for guys here to connect and collaborate on how we as men can have a stronger impact on our lives and the lives of those who depend on us. Now, if you are a guy who struggles through life having to deal with scars from attacks potentially years ago, wondering how to create healing, godly paths when the world truly just doesn't make any sense, make sure you subscribe to be part of a place that produces healing content for an iron sharpens iron environment. I also have a locals community for up and coming topics as we continue conversations. That's mostly for those who wish to dig deeper in life together. Now, we have all heard the saying, there are only two things guaranteed in life, death and taxes. I know none of us would disagree with the notion that scarring is also a guarantee. Whether it be from our own mistakes or shrapnel from the mistakes of others, we will be impacted in negative aspects, whether we like it or not. It does not take much of an internet search to discover thousands of self-help books dealing with these types of scenarios. But this is a scenario worth discussing, particularly for the fact that it was chosen as the next topic by you, the viewers, from the Godly Guy Stuff group. Therefore, a huge shout out for all of you who voted for this topic. Thank you so much, and keep the suggestions coming. No one is coming to help. If the world had come to a conclusion on the best way to heal emotional and spiritual scars, I'm sure that book would be a #1 top bestseller of all time. But unfortunately, there really is no answer to these issues, and this is reflective on the suicide rate within the country, with over 53,000 suicides in the year 2019 alone. The last date data was calculated. And I would expect this number to have risen sharply due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In many respects, the moral consensus of our nation has dropped so dramatically in just the past 3 years. I would attest personally that we would see more people willingly pull their phones out to film a suicide, rather than actually helping an individual not commit suicide. I see this every day on social media because random acts of violence are so plentiful, it's almost sickening. In fact, this very aspect of our society demonstrates the true fall we have taken in such a fast time frame. When I was young, I recall marveling at the idea of VHS tapes that were labeled illegal to produce, entitled Faces of Death, where home footage or professionally produced footage showed the actual deaths of people. Today, we no longer hide behind the facade of an immoral practice showing deaths, and they're frequently posted for the world to see as simple entertainment. Our society has fallen to such a degree that in many of us do not believe that help is coming. In fact, many are championing onward to the destruction of themselves and others. What once was deemed a dystopian future, such as in the movie The Running Man, we now are inundated with thousands of poisonous images that slowly degrade our hearts and mind. The seeds to healing. I really didn't want to demonstrate too much time on the worldly view because I cannot tell you how many levels of destruction need to be peeled away for something as simple as planting a seed of healing. To be honest, writing this topic has proven more difficult than anticipated. But it's not simply because of the immoral non-Christian culture we are slowly being dipped into over time, but it's the fact that the church itself has become part of the problem, if not a major source of scarring for the Christian godly guy. For the past few decades, what was understood and known to be the church has become a willing participant in scarring godly guys. Therefore, opportunities or options that were once applicable to this topic are no longer available, in my opinion. In fact, it's one of the main reasons Godly Guy Stuff was even launched. The vacuum that has become evident to me became the beckoning for this group. And having a process to navigate through a healing moment is needed now more than ever. Would you agree? With this in mind, we once again turn to the great simplifier, the Bible, for the truth in the midst of confusion. We will turn to a very common chapter in the Bible, Proverbs 3. But even though most of us are probably very familiar with the verses 5 and 6, I really would like to start at verse 1 in order to grasp the entire situation that we're talking about here. And understand this Bible's chapter's headline for most Bible translations is entitled, The Rewards of Wisdom. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments, for length of days and years of life, and peace that will add to you. Do not let kindness and truth leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good repute in the sight of God and man. It will be healing to your body and refreshment to your bones. Honor the Lord from your wealth and from the first of all your produce. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine. My son, do not reject the discipline of the Lord, or loathe his reproof. For whom the Lord loves, he reproves, even as a father corrects the son in whom he delights. Chapter 3 continues onward with the rewards of wisdom, and it is a very good chapter to reflect on. But I would like to stop here, and let's return back and focus on verse 8. It will be healing to your body and refreshment to your bones. In the original Hebrew, The word for body honestly shocked me a bit when I did the research. The word is shore, which means a string as twisted, specifically the umbilical cord, also figuratively as a center of strength, or the belly button, the navel. The word refreshment equally was surprising. The Hebrew word here is shikui, meaning a beverage, moisture, figuratively refreshment, or drink, or the marrow of the bone. Therefore, if we read verses 7 and 8 with these definitions in mind, it truly reveals the benefits of God's wisdom. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be healing coming to you through an umbilical cord from God to you, and filling up the marrow to your bones with moisture. This concrete explanation of verse 8 revolutionizes verses 5 through 6 and truly expounds upon the benefits of wisdom and what wisdom can do for us physically when we make decisions that walk in godly paths. God understands that we will make mistakes, and our mistakes will impact us. There will be times where we will have deep scars to our emotional well-being and our spiritual well-being, but we do not have to live with these scars. God has told us if we live and ingest His wisdom, and the more that we do this, our bodies will literally be healed from the inside out by Him directly. Therefore, here are the challenges for this week. To be healed from emotional and spiritual scars. Number 1, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Number 2, do not lean on your own understanding. You acknowledge Him as He makes your path straight. Remember, do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. If you do, healing will come to you directly from God and into your deepest parts, filling you up from the inside out, from the marrow of your bones and beyond. Wrap up. Wow, that is huge. But this world's ultimate desire is to consume you, which in previous videos we have learned means to treat you as loot from a successful theft. Giving in to the ways of this world does not mean you join the army of the evil or that you become a soldier of Satan. It means you are consumed by the army of evil and you become food for the soldiers of Satan. The world would have it no other way. We would be wise to focus on God solely as our healer, understanding that there are much fewer opportunities for diving into His Word as there used to be. Where we once had a church on every corner and the Word of the Lord preached consistently throughout our society, we now have debauchery, death literally in our faces, and the darkness of evil overshadowing the very foundations of this country. Now more than ever, it is absolutely vital for the godly guy to focus on God. It is our turn, it is our time to make this stand, to give not just ourselves a foothold, but the generations coming up behind us. Now it's your turn. All right, this was a huge topic today, honestly. But what did I miss? Do you believe that there is more to healing emotional and spiritual scars? In many aspects for this conversation, this is literally just the tip of an iceberg. Because the aspect of gaining wisdom from God is a great challenge to start with, but seeking Him face to face on a daily basis in order to receive this wisdom in and of itself is a monumental task. More than likely, this will be a future topic in coming weeks, probably a series. But for now, let me know in the comments what you are thinking when it comes to the very first steps of emotional and spiritual scars. Guys, thank you for listening throughout the entire video, and please definitely follow me or join the Godly Guy Stuff group on Gab. Gab, if you don't know, is the launching headquarters of the content that is produced for Godly Guy Stuff. So if you're watching this on some other platform, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Rumble, you're missing a lot more content. There's also, like I said earlier, a Godly Guy Stuff Locals community where I post content for upcoming videos. You can find even more videos there, sneak peeks or deeper personal connections, and future casting on upcoming ideas. If you want to see what I am currently working through or on, go to Gab. For upcoming topics, head on over to Locals. Links are in the descriptions below, and I look forward to talking to you and having this conversation continue. Thanks.